to trust my psychic gifts. Welcome to Tools to Create a Better Life with myself, Glenyce Hughes. Thank you so much for being here. I am so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. If you notice my camera moving, it's because I have two very naughty kitties who think my tripod is fun. Yes, we are at a house sit near Stony Plain, Spruce Grove, Edmonton, Alberta, and there's actually 3 kitties, only 2 of which are naughty, and 2 big beautiful dogs, and they are outside, so you won't see them today. How I learned to trust my psychic gifts. So this show is an invite to a couple of new creations that I've got coming up about receiving and trusting your psychic gifts. So more information about that at the end of the show. So some of you know I was a professional medium for 10 years, and prior to that, I actually didn't really know anything about mediumship or psychicness or anything. I took a Reiki class back in March of 2002, and it just changed my entire world. One of the things it did was opened up my abilities to talk to dead people, as I call it. So I really struggled with it because it's not an exact science. You know, when the dead person comes through, it's not specifically the way that if say my client asked, what color hair do they have, do they always show me their color of hair? So I had a lot of doubt in myself, I had a lot of doubt in my abilities. And unless I was extremely confident in what the dead person would show, I wouldn't say it. So what occurred was there was this woman that I was reading for, and I'd read for her before. Her fiance had died a week prior to their wedding. So I'd connected them before, and this was maybe her second or third call with me. I usually would do them maybe 6 months or so apart. I mean, depending on what, of course, the client wanted. And she asked me, she said, can he tell you what my son and I created in honor of him? So in the moment she said that, I had a flash of a beautiful garden of flowers outside. It was so gorgeous. And then she finished her sentence or her question with, in the kitchen. Well, I know they didn't plant a big, beautiful garden of flowers in the kitchen, not the garden that her fiance had showed me, because it was huge and real. And so because when she finished that, I didn't have the confidence to say, I didn't trust myself or my abilities enough to say, oh, it has something to do with a beautiful garden of flowers. I said, oh, I'm not seeing anything. He's not showing me anything. And you gotta remember too, with psychic gifts, it's so fleeting, like it's so quick. It wasn't like he showed me that image for a minute. It's like that was a flash of maybe 3 seconds. So I didn't hold anything to it because the way she finished her sentence, it was like, oh, well, it's not that. And then I just kept saying to him, can you show me, what is it? And it was just nothing. So that's why I said to her, you know, he's not showing me anything. Imagine when she said to me, oh, I'm so disappointed. We painted a beautiful garden of flowers on the kitchen wall. Like, what? So yeah, that was such an eye-opener to me to really trust what I get and not necessarily take it literal. Now again, there is a kitty that's right behind the camera that we'll see how this turns out. So I really had to look at that. When I got off the call with her, I really had to look at that and go, okay, what if I would have just said it? What if I just would have said it? Like, what if I was wrong, as we often see it as? Okay, cool. And what a gift it would have been if I would have said that to her. And I wasn't about to say, oh my gosh, he did show me a garden, but I took it like I wasn't going there with her. So fast forward 6 months or a year, I don't recall. And she came for another session. Actually, she was in the US, so we did them by phone. And he kept showing me a computer. And I kept saying to her, he's showing me a computer. There's something to do with your computer. And I don't exactly recall. It's something to do with a computer and her kids. I think it was something like that. And she had like older kids, like adult, young adult children. And she could not place it. But you know what? I knew I wasn't not saying it. I knew no matter what, I had made that promise to myself from the previous experience with her. And of course, it wasn't just with her. It was all the readings I did. I was just like, I'm just saying it, whatever it is. And so even by the time we got off the call, I'm sure she was so annoyed with me because I just kept referring to that. And I mean, of course, there was other things too, but I didn't let that go. I was not going to let that go. Well, a week or two later, she said that she got to work, and she works on a computer. And she was really stressed about one of her kids, about something they were choosing, and just really stressed about it. And she was just energetically asking him if he could help and if he could show her, give her some clarity, stuff like that. So she got to work, she turned on her computer, and it's a big company. So they've got like tech people and that sort of stuff. Turned on her computer, in her email was an email from him. It was an old email, so it wasn't like he sent her a new email. It was an old email that had a picture of her and both of her kids on either side of her, and they were really happy. And again, this was not a new photo to her. This was not a new email to her. But the fact that it was arrived that morning in her email was huge. And so she actually did go and check with the tech people, make sure that, whatever. And it was a viable email. It did, process that morning, or whatever we call it in the email world, into her inbox. And it was just the gift she needed. And it was also the response she was looking for. And so when she emailed to tell me about it, she just said, you kept saying computer, kids, and it was just so cool, because to me, when we talk about our psychic gifts and we want to exponentialize them, or we want to start trusting them, we actually have to be willing to be wrong. We really do. We have to be willing. And a lot of times, again, this is energetic information. So like in her case, it hadn't occurred yet. So she didn't know what I was talking about. And then when it did occur at the time when she was asking for it, and it was so clear, it was just an extra, affirmation or whatever we want to call it for her. So when you look at trusting your psychic gifts, a big part of that is knowing that there will be times where you don't understand it. If you're reading for other people, they may not understand it, but just trust it. Just trust it. Because not trusting it doesn't do anything except, not work out so well. But trusting it, like maybe you've got a flight tomorrow and it's felt really icky and you've really thought about changing it. What if you just changed it? Like, what if you just changed it? Does it mean that you should track that other flight and find out if it crashes or blows apart or, sort of thing? No. You can if you would like to, but it's not always that. Sometimes it's like not get on that airplane so you get on the other one so that you have a conversation with somebody that you would have otherwise not had that chance to. Or, there's a bazillion things. If we stop trying to figure it out with our logical mind, like me, with the beautiful garden of flowers, it opens so many more possibilities. There's truly so much more possible. Now, this is an invite to a class that I've got coming up called Receiving and Trusting Your Psychic Gifts. So we're going to talk about receiving it, like all the different ways you receive your psychic gifts, all the ways it shows up, and then also trusting that and some ways to do that. So there'll be, of course, the live call, which will be January 30th. If you're watching this later, the replay's available. I'm going to have a manual in there too, so you guys can walk away with the information and start looking at really how does it show up for you? Because there's so many ways. We've seen different psychics or mediums and they're visual, and so they talk like I often do. Well, I'm seeing blah, 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 or this, but it shows up differently for everyone. So, and it all the time. You know, it shows up, yeah. So there's lots of things to talk about that. Would love to have you come play from there. Anybody who would like to, you don't have to. It's an additional invite. We're going to do 21 days of receiving and trusting your psychic gifts. So that every day for 21 days starting February 1st, we are going to do whatever it might be. There will be energetic exercises, there'll be meditations, there'll be discussions, there'll be whatever's required to really get receiving and trusting, because it's a process. This isn't like, oh, I'm going to go flip a switch and now I receive it 100% and I trust it 100%. I mean, if that works, if that occurs for you, yes. And it's a process. It truly is a process. Like for me, I had to not say it, not trust it, to recognize that that actually isn't what I'd like to create more of. I would like to create way more of the receive it, trust it, say it, and whatever they want to do with it. And same with myself. So even for myself, with, you know, whether it's canceling flights or doing different things like that, I, for the most part, no longer need to know why. If I've got an energy to choose something or not choose something or change something or shift something, at this point, I just do it because I just know what happens when I don't listen. So anyway, would love to invite you to come play, guys. I am so excited about these new creations. I wonder what we might be able to create on the planet if we were truly receiving and trusting our psychic gifts. Thanks so much. Have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. You might have noticed, for those that have been listening to my show for a while, there isn't much of a routine to this anymore. It used to come out every Sunday. We're just kind of following the energy, so we'll see. We'll be back sometime soon.